Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Flannel Panel Podcast. As always, it's Mike.
And Rosario.
And we're back.
Are back, baby.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it has. It's time to talk NFL draft, dude. I think we both love this time of year. Get to talk about some prospects, give them some potential homes. Just getting excited for another great NFL season.
Yeah, very exciting to put last season behind us.
For sure.
As if it wasn't already.
It's out with the old, it's in with the new, and we're really excited for that. I was saying it to you yesterday, but after how demoralizing and terrible, just outright terrible, the end of the season was for the Eagles last year, I'm so excited to get back into it.
And we are back.
Yeah,
we're
back. We're ready to get hurt again. We'll say that every single year. But, today we're not just going to talk about the Birds. We're going to talk about plenty of other teams and what they might do for the future. Always excited to see where some of these young men are going to go. And really, when we're kicking off this draft, we start with the Bears at number 1. For a long time, it's like, ooh, are they going to pick a quarterback? Maybe they will, maybe they won't. And then Justin Fields is a Steeler now.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
Yeah, some decisions kind of make themselves. So this first pick is obviously one they received from Carolina for their trade last year.
Yeah, for trading the first round pick.
Go Panthers.
Go Panthers.
It's very funny to think that if they just kind of let things go, whatever quarterback they had to throw out there last year, they'd have Caleb Williams this year and not Bryce Young. Who's to say it will be better?
If they had another quarterback, they could have been better and not gotten the number 1 pick.
No, very true. But with that, dude, the first pick's going to be Caleb Williams from USC, quarterback. That's about as much of a lock as you've seen.
Yeah.
I'm excited for him. Named my fantasy team last year, tanking for Caleb.
Yep.
A big fan.
You didn't do a very good job of tanking, though.
I didn't.
Yeah.
But I was doing a little talking about some trades, and I don't think there's a lot of hype around quarterback in our dynasty league draft. So.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
And as we move forward in this draft, there's a lot of quarterbacks who are going to go. And for the first time, we're going to have a lot of quarterback-needy teams who just seem to, do it.
Yes,
I feel like you're going to see a lot of teams pull the trigger on people
Without a doubt.
Not sold on.
No, look, I mean, there's only so many good quarterbacks to go around in the league. So when you got to take a shot, you got to take a shot. And we'll certainly see some shots taken. As far as landing spots for these quarterbacks, though, I can't help but think the Bears is one of the hottest destinations for as talking about these quarterback-needy teams. I mean, some of these ones we'll get into right after this. Atrocious situations.
Yeah, I mean, we've normally the worst team in the NFL is the team with the first overall pick.
Yes.
But as we've established, they're not the worst team in the NFL.
No, ninth.
Yeah.
In fact.
So, and considering that they're ninth with Justin Fields, getting hurt last year, Justin Hurts.
I don't like that at all, dude.
I went into Herbert.
Yikes. Yeah.
And then it ended up.
For sure.
I think he's going into a spot where they have that number 9th overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
This year, they have DJ Moore. Yeah. They have DeAndre Swift. Sadly,
for sure. Yeah, that is a shame.
And they traded for Keenan Allen as well as having Cole Kmet. You look at these other teams, they're not going to have that many weapons.
Not at all.
So it's not a bad spot. There's been a lot of stuff that he wouldn't play in Chicago.
Of course. There was so much of that leading up to.
But where else would you rather be?
Exactly.
I agree.
And I think that might even come out of his camp more recently. It's going to be a good situation for him. Will things work out? Who's to say?
Mm-hmm.
But you couldn't ask for much more. So I'm stoked to see what he can do there.
Yeah, I think he's a good player. He's obviously a great prospect. Won the Heisman. So a little bit of regression, but I'm still very high on him and his ability to play football.
Without a doubt. That's what this is all about at the end of the day, huh? So speaking of football teams, the Washington football team.
Yes.
Formerly known as, at least, the Commanders, they're going to be on the board at number 2. And this is going to be another quarterback.
It is.
Really comes down to which one. I think you and I have different thoughts on who that number 2 is. But I think that, at least in everything that's come out in the last couple of weeks, it seems like they're definitely leaning one way, and that is
Jaden Daniels.
Yes, for sure.
Quarterback from LSU, who won the Heisman this past year, was a transfer, and was throwing the ball to two, first-round wide receivers.
Absolute studs, yeah.
So, with that being said, his ceiling is ridiculously high. We're talking about a dual-threat quarterback who's really fast, really accurate, big arm, and has proven that he can, have high levels of, output on a good team.
Without a doubt.
But what he hasn't proven is that he can stay healthy.
No.
And that he can lead like a winning team. Like LSU were not, for all of the quality, it's not like they were in the college football playoff or really sniffing around it last year.
And, I mean, receiver-wise, Washington's not a terrible destination.
Yes, that's correct.
But he's not walking into the same situation that he just had in no way, shape, or form. So I do think that'll be an interesting one. I personally am a little bit higher on Drake May, who we're going to have here go number 3 to the Patriots.
Yep.
I guess I can't see the Commanders drafting another North Carolina quarterback. There certainly hasn't been a lot of luck for these North Carolina quarterbacks. Always
just
think
a
back
little
to
too soon.
Mitch Trubisky. And yes, Sam Howell, of course. But I like Drake May a lot. I think he's got a huge arm. I think he's got a lot of accuracy. He's pretty athletic. I've seen some comparisons to Josh Allen. I don't think he's quite that.
No.
That's hard to be somebody like that. Someone like Josh, someone like Cam Newton. But I do think Drake May is a really, really solid prospect. He was also somebody who had some regression this year compared to where he was, but he's only 21 years old. I think he's got a lot of time to learn and grow. Do I think that the Patriots is a good situation for anyone to be in? No. I think that's a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
I think it is.
It's a difficult. I have to say, out of all of the landing places for a young quarterback, this is the most difficult one.
Yes.
It's a team that's gone through so much change, so much overhaul, and a team that just had it not work out with a highly drafted quarterback, and a place that, with all that change, what is there is not that good, right? Like that's why the change is happening. They don't really have any receivers. Like to name, Jalen Reagor was last seen on this roster. It's not a place really built for a quarterback to succeed right now. So it's going to be stacked against him. So Drake May or whoever goes to the Patriots at 3 is going to require a lot of patience.
Yes, without a doubt. The Patriots are such a bad team that I think there's a chance. I mean, I actually just saw an update today that said that they're not going to trade the pick, but I could see them trading back and just stockpiling picks because they have so many needs.
Yeah. If I was here at 3, I would take Marv without a doubt, just because you have the blue chip prospect. Yeah. He fell to you at 3. And here's the deal: you're going to stink next year anyway. You can always get a quarterback.
For sure.
When you're picking
There's
up
always
at
going to be
the
more
early part
quarterbacks
of the
to take a
draft.
shot on you. Maybe they'll have the first pick next year. Who's to say?
So that's the way I look at it. At least.
No, and I do definitely understand that.
They need a quarterback, so I think taking a shot on a guy like Drake May, who yet again, even though he didn't have the best year this year, has shown
and certainly
production.
Has some inconsistencies. Definitely going to need to sharpen up some footwork and different things. But I think he's got a lot of the tools, the intangibles, and I think a lot of the rest can be taught. So that's why I'm high on him. But I fear the Patriots could ruin a lot of that.
Yeah, a new quarterback, new head coach. Like truly is finally a new era.
It is, and it is. I mean, they are starting from rock bottom.
Yeah, from the ground.
They're starting from zero. So yeah, very, very interesting to see what that'll be like. But I do like Drake May, and we'll see what happens. So number 4 on the clock right now, Arizona Cardinals. I think it is at this point that we will have our first projected trade.
Yes.
In flannel panel mock draft history.
It really is a moment.
It's
everybody marked this down.
Monumental occasion.
It took place today.
It did.
It's the first one.
Usually, trades are just so hard to predict.
Yes.
And it's tough to go through this whole mock draft, make a trade. It doesn't happen on draft day. Everything gets messed up.
Yeah. But
the trades are going to happen anyway. Things will get messed up. So this is one that I've certainly been talking about for a while. I think it's in a lot of mocks. That's going to be your Minnesota Vikings, ladies and gents, trading up to number 4 to select what is likely going to be a quarterback. I think they'll end up giving up 11. They'll give up 23. Which they traded for. That trade really is what cemented this idea of them moving up.
They're getting ammo.
Exactly.
They're trying to build a package here, so they're. I do think this is the team, and it's almost right away once that trade went through.
Yeah,
that it's like, oh, they're going to get
for
this
sure,
guy.
for sure. And whether that's like maybe they're even trying to get up to 3, maybe they're coming up a little bit later if a certain quarterback goes off the board earlier, if there's different trades made. No matter what, I do think the Vikings will be active on draft day.
They're about that action, bro.
They are.
It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
So
losing Kirk Cousins, gotta keep Justin Jefferson happy.
How does one replace Kirk Cousins? A question the Commanders are still dealing
they
with.
They really are
to this day.
Kirk.
Little Kirko.
He leaves some bad things behind him apparently. But if you want to keep JJ happy, Justin Jefferson, that is, I think you do that by drafting another JJ, that being JJ McCarthy out of Michigan.
Yeah, I don't know what he obviously he's a winner. Won a lot at Michigan, but within this draft process, he has gone from a guy who it's like, you know what, he'll get a first round pick, he'll be one because he's a winner.
Yes.
To I love him.
Yes.
We have to go get him.
Yeah, people saying, oh, maybe he'll go top 3, maybe he'll go above one of these other guys.
I think there's a good chance that he could go before Drake May. I really do.
I mean,
it's gonna be.
It could happen.
It's gonna be close, but it's been a long time since we've seen quite such a meteoric rise.
Yes.
Once the football stopped to the draft.
Yes.
And we've seen that a lot with JJ here. So we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. He was, and you'll hear this a lot. Didn't have to throw the ball a whole lot this season. Obviously, won it all.
Yep.
As successful as you can be. So it'll be interesting to see in the NFL. He's going to have to throw the ball a lot more. That's just the nature of the game.
Yep.
So I think he's going to have a lot to learn. But wide receiver wise, can't ask for a better situation.
They got a good
Justin
tight end.
Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and T.J. Hawkinson. So I think it'll be really interesting. I don't necessarily believe in the kid, but
we'll see.
Prove me wrong.
He will actually be going into a situation where he's set up for success.
Yes.
But yet again, look at this Vikings team and what they were able to do the year prior, right? Like, Kirk was incredible, and they lost in the first round.
Yes.
So when I look at a pick like JJ, I just say, if you don't think he's going to be Kirk, and Kirk wasn't enough, I don't understand.
Yeah, why are we doing this?
So we will see with him, but
interesting.
he's a winner for sure, and I'm very interested to see what he actually does.
See what he's about.
Yeah.
See what he's about.
Because it's going to be a whole different thing. I was out on him as soon as he said that he started brushing his teeth with his left hand, because it improved the amount of alpha brain waves that went to his head.
Ooh, I thought you were going to say, so that he didn't injure his throwing arm. Ooh.
Which I've heard that before from other people, but he was like, oh, that's why I've improved, is because part of it is I brush my teeth with my left hand.
Yikes. Okay.
Did I try it once or twice to see?
Are you feeling like an alpha?
I didn't feel any difference.
Yeah. Okay.
I've done my own research.
That's odd. That's an odd thing to say, indeed. Thank you for doing that research. That's greatly appreciated. Wow. JJ, jeez. That's
sorry to catch you off guard.
It's so weird. That is a college kid thing to say. At the end of the day, you realize that we're dealing with kids in a lot of these situations.
Yeah, a lot of them are younger than us at this point.
Yes.
There's still one guy though.
Of course.
We will call his name.
That we will. But not here. So next is the Los Angeles Chargers at the 5 spot. I think should this come to fruition, where the Cardinals trade out of 4, they're going to run this pick in.
Yes.
This is huge for them, having gotten rid of both Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, one trade, one cut. You'd have to think this is going to be a receiver.
Without a doubt.
And just so happens to be a generational talent on the board right here in Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah. I would sprint this pick in at 3.
Yeah.
So to get him at 5.
Yeah.
Whatever is faster.
It's unbelievable.
I'm pressing the turbo. I'm trying to get there as quickly as possible. The phone is unplugged. I'm not taking calls. I'm taking Marv.
Yeah, I mean, he's like I said, generational talent. Does a lot of things right, almost everything right.
Yeah.
There's a few areas where he's not going to completely blow you out of the water, but he's so good at everything that it just doesn't matter.
Yeah. And he's built like the modern NFL wide receiver that we see dominate so often.
Yes, without a doubt. Without a doubt, yeah.
And I just don't. I think he's the only guy this year who actually produced at the level he was expected to. From the people who had a lot of hype going into the season, he's done nothing but impress.
Without a doubt, without a doubt.
Going from we know how good C.J. Stroud is now. Would that cause any regression? No,
sir.
I think he's an absolute slam dunk here at 5.
Yeah.
And even though they drafted Quentin Johnson last year, you gotta go get this guy.
It's true.
Quentin is turning out to not be
nothing. And as much as I'd love to see Josh Palmer really light up this number one receiver
crazy
for my dynasty team, I think that'll be amazing for both he and for Justin Herbert.
For Herbert, yeah, without a doubt.
Maybe Herbert gets destroyed when his offensive line explodes. We'll see, but it doesn't matter. Number 6, New York Giants. This is a team that we both agreed could definitely be looking at a quarterback.
In the J.J. McCarthy sweepstakes?
Yeah, yep. I think that J.J. would be the one that they'd have the most likelihood of picking, whether it's trading up to that 4 spot, whether it's he falls down here at 6. Obviously, that's not the case here in our mock, so I think it's going to be another receiver. And I'll hand it over to you because I know you like this guy better than me. So
yeah, I mean, Malik Neighbors would be the next guy.
Yeah.
He is fantastic. Similar to the build of Marvin. He's built the same way, except he's lightning fast. He's ridiculously fast.
Yeah.
He's had ridiculous, production. He can run basically every route. I think in a lot of other draft classes, he's the number one. And we've heard that a lot. But, I mean, you just look at guys who have skills that translate to the NFL. These two guys are the guys. And, when looking at especially people who are wide receivers and are at the more of like just pure kind of athletic positions, like there is times where it's like, oh, he's just bigger, he's just faster.
Yes.
He's not like that, right? There's times where he's running away because he's so much faster than these guys, and he's wide open because he's got better routes and he's got better hands. Like he's just a fantastic prospect. I think that the wide receiver class this year is really deep, but some of the guys at the top are top, like talent.
Yeah.
And I think these two guys in particular are the standout of the bunch. Even though we'll see other guys go here very soon, these would definitely be my 1 and 2.
Yeah. No, dude, I mean, I hate to see that as an Eagles fan, them get an electric receiver like that.
This brings me no joy.
Definitely like a little bit smaller, so he has to rely on that speed better. But you're right, like does many things right, will run incredible routes, has shown how electric he can be. So, should be a good fit.
He's an absolute spark plug for an offense.
For their quarterback, Daniel Jones.
Danny Jones.
Solid pick for them there at number 6. Going into number 7, this is probably, I think, the most mocked. Like, every single mock I see has this pick happening here.
Yeah, it just makes too much sense.
We're going to follow through with it as well. So that's the Titans at 7. That's taking Joe Alt, the tackle out of Notre Dame. Not going to pretend like I know a ton about all the different tackles, of course.
He blocks good.
But,
that's what he does.
Coming into, for sure. Big guy, huge guy, almost 6'9".
That is crazy.
Yeah, absolute monster. Very strong, very athletic, only 321 at 6'9". I remember coming into the year and into some of the draft process, Olu Fashanu from Penn State was the number 1 guy. I remember that just because of Penn State.
Yeah.
And as the season went along, as we get into more of the draft, Joe Alt so clearly became that number 1 tackle prospect. So you'd have to think the Titans are getting a great cornerstone there. Pair him with Peter Skoronski, their first-round pick from last year.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Protecting Will Levis, maybe QB of the future. We'll see.
Yeah. The only other thing I could think is a wide receiver here.
It could be. It totally could be.
We'll see a wide receiver going very soon. That, D-Hop is up there in age. Obviously, the Burks pick has not worked out.
Not at all.
For them, for us, it's been great.
It's
been a great.
Up until this point, we'll see how it continues to go. But
they haven't been able to replace A.J. Brown. So I think there's an option there, but
there definitely is.
With the way that the team has seen success, obviously losing their head coach as well as King Henry from that backfield, they could go for a different route, but their O-line stinks.
Yeah.
So they really need to improve it, and I think when you have that number one guy still there, you take him.
That monster, dude, 6'9". That's crazy.
It's a large individual.
He's huge, massive individual indeed. So moving on to number 8, Atlanta Falcons. We have seen all offense up until this point. How do you feel about a little defense here?
Yeah, I think that's the best way to go is to take best defense available. This team as well has taken a lot of offensive draft picks. Yeah. So I think that this will probably be
for sure.
I would say Dallas Turner.
I agree. I completely agree. Certainly a team that has spent a lot of first-round picks on skill positions in the recent history. We'll see if that can now work out with Kirk Cousins there, of course.
Kirko.
Massive money to Kirk. We'll just say that.
If he's healthy, they're gonna come.
I'm stoked as a Drake London fantasy owner. I'm stoked. Shout out Eamon. I know he's ready to see Kyle Pitts finally explode. He called that, of course.
Of course, he's got Bijan too.
True, so true.
He's been waiting.
But yeah, I think Dallas Turner's the best edge prospect in the draft. You got 2 other guys, Jared Verse and Laiatu Latu, that I think can rival him. Laiatu Latu's had to retire from football because of medical reasons, and then did come back, perform really well. But I think that is going to hold him back come draft day. So Dallas Turner, Alabama, blue chip prospect, best available. I think that's great for them. It really is. So now we're at number 9. The Bears are back. The Bears are back with their own pick this time.
This is incredible. This is so great for Chicago.
It is without a doubt. Excuse me. So I think we both agree that this is going to be a receiver here.
Yeah, I agree. I think, obviously they have DJ, and DJ's great. He had 1,300 yards, very quietly last year.
Yes, for sure.
Did he get 250 of them in one game?
Maybe.
Yes, he did. But Keenan, I think, is a great addition as a safety blanket for a young quarterback.
Yes, for sure.
But the fact that now you can bring in another young wide receiver to just pair with him.
It's great, dude.
Yeah.
It's excellent. So that's going to be Rome Odunze out of Washington. I think I like Rome a little bit better than Malik. Bigger body guy. Had an excellent production with Michael Penix. Really excellent with contested catches. Yeah. Isn't going to blow past you with his speed. But still pretty solid 4.45 right in the 40. I just really like Rome. I don't know if I'm buying the hype or what. But I think they're very close. They're very close together. I do think that it's firmly a top 3 receivers and then a little bit of a drop off. But I think Rome will be an excellent target for Caleb Williams. Yeah,
my only thing with Rome, I think he's going to be a touchdown machine. Obviously, we love these prospects. They're all going top. top. So he just lacks that high-end ability to actually get away from people.
Yeah, the separation.
And he makes up with it with his incredible hands, his great at contested catches. But when you look at a number one guy who can beat you downfield, you know what I mean? That
maybe not that yet.
You don't see it with him because he doesn't have the speed or really that quickness. But ultimately, if you're looking for a guy who catches balls and scores touchdowns, he's gonna be perfect for you. So I think he's a good 1-2 with DJ
for sure. And that's what I was about to say. I think it's a great fit in Chicago because of already having DJ. Because of bringing in Keenan, he's not going to need to be necessarily the number 1 option, and that'll benefit him greatly.
Yeah, Chicago very much so improved through trading the first overall pick last year. So it's an exciting time.
Worked out really, really well for them. So now moving on here to pick number 10, the New York Jets. Had a little bit of contention over this pick when we were discussing yesterday.
I mean, this is a team they need to win this year.
Right.
It has to be right now.
If they have a window at all, it is right now.
So and normally a young player is not going to elevate you to be we were right there, and then in their rookie season they got us over the hump.
For sure.
So it's difficult to mock it.
It is.
So I can see this pick getting traded.
I can see that too. Yes,
as
for sure.
Getting somebody who could help this year.
Yeah. So for me, this came down to 2 different people: Brock Bowers or an offensive lineman. I think we decided to go offensive lineman. For me, that's probably Troy Fautanu from Washington, specifically because he has guard flexibility. Jets did sign Tyron Smith this offseason to play tackle.
Yep.
But not going to be around much longer. So I think somebody who can come in as a guard, maybe then shift to tackle, would be a really awesome option for them. Obviously, You need to protect Aaron Rodgers a little bit better than you did last year for the one drive.
If you could get more than 4 snaps,
that would be huge.
I think that'd be
huge.
good for the squad.
So I'm gonna take him off the board there, if it'll let me. Thank you.
Great success.
All right, so here we are at number 11, Arizona Cardinals. Arizona Cardinals. My mock draft simulator did not let me trade, so it says Vikings. I just got to remember that it is the Cardinals. Now, this is an interesting situation for them. Obviously, in doing what they did, they passed up on any of the top wide receiver prospects, so they're going to have to go a different direction. Interestingly enough, you got all the cornerbacks on the board still. You got plenty of defensive linemen, whether that's an edge or an interior defender. What are you leaning here?
Here, I'd say it's probably going to be a more defensive pick if I had to guess. Obviously, getting 23 as well. As we said, it's kind of a top 3 wide receiver group.
Yes.
So if you miss out on one of those guys, you can take someone at good value here, and then once you have that next pick a little later on, that's when I think a wide receiver is a little more likely. IMO.
For sure. So for me, I think I'm going to lean toward Jared Verse here, the edge. I mean, we could also go defensive interior with Byron Murphy. Do you have a preference between those two?
I think the edge.
I agree.
I would say.
Sounds good. So that'll be
Verse.
Jared Verse to the Cardinals at 11, and then we'll see them again at 23. So here we are at number 12.
The Denver Broncos.
Denver Broncos. What a dumpster fire.
Yeah, this is the craziest team in the NFL. I don't they could do anything.
They could. They certainly could.
Let's just put that out there.
Yes.
They could do anything. They have Sean Payton, who I think has kind of lost it.
For sure. Without a doubt in my mind, dude.
I mean, other than Pat Surtain, I don't know who else they have on that team that's really, value helpful and
no one
making this team a contender.
Yeah, no one.
And they play with Herbert and Mahomes. Like it's it's scary times.
It is. And I think that has led us both to think that maybe that means they're gonna reach out and grab a quarterback here.
Yep, and that is going to be Bo Nix.
Bo Nix
of Oregon, formerly of Auburn.
Yes, sir.
25-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, here's a guy that has been around the block. I think that I agree in that they're gonna have to reach for something, and here we have that being Bo Nix. He is somebody who certainly improved a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
To get to the point where he's at, he's a real competitor. Went out there for 5-6 years and kept trying to get to where he is now. So I think he's a pretty efficient passer. I think that'll be a benefit of his at this next level. But on this team,
Yeah, I think he's a good quarterback.
It's tough to see.
He's fine.
Yeah.
But I don't see a fine quarterback at 12 making this team much better because their starting quarterback is Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah.
Like they're going to have to take somebody.
Yeah, they're not one of these teams like the Vikings, like the team we're going to talk about next, the Raiders, who went out and got a veteran who could play. Should they not get a starting quarterback in the draft?
They have nobody.
They have
nobody.
Yeah.
And whoever it is, whether it's him, whether they trade up for JJ.
For sure. It could be Penix here as well, yeah.
Thrown into the fire.
Without a doubt.
With Sean Payton.
I think this rivals the Patriots as the ugliest situation to go
I would
into.
say so. I mean, we've talked about
especially after Peyton turned on his last quarterback.
Oh man, we've talked about the benefit of being on the side of like a really lopsided trade. Like this is the other half.
Oh yeah,
they're still reeling from the Russell Wilson trade, and he's gone. He's awesome in Pittsburgh.
Yes, sir. Excited to see how that turns out in Pittsburgh, but yeah, we'll see. Good luck to Bo Nix in Denver.
Yeah, I really do think that's. They like him and they need a quarterback and they've kind of locked themselves into taking quarterback here. Because if they wait to the second round, I could see all of
I don't
the 6 guys.
I don't know that there'll be anybody left. Yeah,
and then it's actually Jarrett Stidham starting for this team.
Yes, or Spencer Rattler in the third round.
Yeah, that's the next name.
Yeah. Maybe he's the next Dak Prescott. Who's to say? So now we move on to 13. That's going to be the Las Vegas Raiders. Really interesting team here. Definitely one that needs a quarterback, but they also did go out and get Gardner Minshew, who
is elite.
Yes.
Let's say it.
We'll just put it simply elite.
Yeah. Not an elite quarterback. He just is.
He is elite. He's elite. As a man, as a human, yeah. But did a pretty good job with the Colts last year.
Yeah. Almost led him to the playoffs.
Yes. So I think that he's definitely going to be passable for this year. And with the state of things at this point, I don't think they're going to take a quarterback at 13. Who's to say what they'll do later on down the line?
Yeah.
But I think they've got some other holes they can fill here, whether that is a defensive back, could be an offensive lineman, could be a defensive lineman, could be a whole lot.
Yeah, for me, I think Fuanga here. Just, he's a great offensive tackle. I think that they need that for that offensive line. There's a lot of changes, so I think they can go a lot of different ways. They could even trade back if they wanted to and accrue some picks. But I just think out of the tackles still available, he's the best one. And, nailing down that offensive line is something that it's not the sexy pick. You always say it.
No, it's true.
It always in the long run is going to help you if you get the pick right, obviously.
It's very true. I think Fuanga is very, very technically sound. I think he's an excellent prospect. And, yeah, dude, you cannot go wrong building there.
No.
Especially when the future behind that line is a little uncertain. Good place to start.
Get as many good big dudes as possible.
It's true.
Just put them out there.
It works. It just works. Now moving on to number 14 is going to be the New Orleans Saints. Their needs here are listed as quarterback, wide receiver, tackle, defensive line. There is an interesting prospect who's fallen a little bit here.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to lean that way or if maybe we can keep going tackles. There is another excellent one on the board.
Yeah, it's another. They are in the kind of no man's land right now.
They are
with the roster, not ready to compete, but not ready to blow it up.
No, true.
Even though they should be ready to blow it up.
I agree.
So it kind of is. I can see it going one way or another.
Yeah.
If they're ready to kind of blow it up, which I don't think they will, because Derek Carr is still there. I think he'd be gone.
Yes.
I think they will probably take a tackle.
Yeah.
But if they blew it up, they'd take a tackle. Yes. But if not, I think they will take Brock Bowers, the tight end.
Yeah.
It's their starting tight end is Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
He's shown elite production, part of Georgia teams that have won national championships. Just a really fun prospect. You don't see a lot of tight ends go early.
No, not at all.
It's always cool to see somebody like that.
Especially after seeing how that went when Kyle Pitts got taken so early. It's pump the brakes a little bit. But at this spot, I think it's really solid. We're looking at the same prospect ranking here, and he's number 3 on that list.
Yeah,
at tight end. Didn't get to see him test, so not necessarily sure how physically athletic he is, but it shows on the field.
And I do believe he did deal with an injury this last year, so that's just something to keep in mind. But runs like a maniac, scores touchdowns.
Yes.
An X factor at tight end is something that the Chiefs have shown is something that's
how much of a difference maker.
Very incredible.
Yes. At the end of the day, if you got somebody like that, sometimes it doesn't matter who you got out there, wide receiver. Moving on now to the Colts at 15. I think this could start our run on cornerbacks. Thoughts on that?
I agree. I think there's no top tier Sauce Gardner cornerback.
No, certainly not.
But there's a lot of guys in the mid tier.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, these are first round guys.
Without a doubt. And you see when there's a Sauce kind of guy, they're going so early. It's wild.
Him, Stingley, these guys just go early.
Yeah. I think Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I think he's my favorite one. Either him or the guy from Bama, Terrion Arnold.
Yep.
Those would be the two guys. Obviously, it really is your preference. Do you prefer somebody who comes out of a school like Alabama who plays the best teams but is surrounded by the best players all the time? Or Quinyon, who played for Toledo and just had a fantastic season as their star corner.
Yes.
I would take Quinyon Mitchell. I
think I agree. Really, really showed what he was made of at the Senior Bowl. Playing against a little bit of a higher level of competition. So that certainly cemented him. He's a little bit bigger than Terrion. So that's just some differentiators there. So definitely go him in that situation. Moving on to number 16, Seattle Seahawks got some interesting needs here listed. Whether that be a defensive back, whether that be offensive line, edge rusher. For me, there's a couple options that have dropped a little bit here on defense. Thoughts on somebody like Laiatu Latu going here? What direction do you think you want to go?
Yeah, I think Laiatu Latu would be a really good fit here, especially when you look at a lot of the picks that they've used recently. It's been on the back end of the defense, yes. Right? Forget the guy at Illinois, Witherspoon.
And Devin Witherspoon, yep.
The guy that had
Beast.
There was another guy they picked the year before who's really good as well. Forget his name, but I think that's a spot that I don't want to say is lacking, but hasn't seen the love that other parts of the defense have. Yes. So I think, you have him on the board. Obviously, no D tackles really taken yet. So
yeah,
I would go edge here just because I think he's a little better than either of these interior tackles.
For sure. I definitely agree. And I think that maybe if Fautanu or Fuanga were still on the board, because the Seahawks need is more so interior offensive line, both of those guys would be a better fit. So, let's go Laiatu Latu. Like I said, had to medically retire, came back, was excellent for, I believe, 2 years at UCLA. So we will we'll throw him there at number 16. On to number 17, the Jacksonville Jaguars have entered the draft. This is going to be an interesting one.
A team that absolutely fell apart last year.
As an Eagles fan who saw our meteoric collapse, I think they were right there with us.
They kind of got away with it, though.
They did. Well, ours was so bad.
Yeah. We out-collapsed them.
Yes. Yes, we did.
We fell harder and faster.
But for me here, I think this is going to be a cornerback. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think corner. I also think wide receiver.
Wide receiver
this
definitely
is the point in time where you can see them coming off the board, especially with the team that had, they had Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley's gone. They obviously brought in Gabe Davis, but Gabe Davis is super inconsistent, and they have Christian Kirk for a ton of money on the board.
Yeah.
But I would say probably somebody on that defensive area of the team, I'd say.
Over.
Yeah, I would say so over him.
Okay.
Just because Gabe Davis is a good wide receiver, right?
Yes.
They replaced a very inconsistent wide receiver with another very inconsistent wide receiver.
It's true. So thoughts on this here?
Yeah, I'd say Terrion Arnold.
Agreed.
He's the best one.
So Terrion Arnold was a pretty cool prospect. We're going to select him out of Alabama corner. He got thrown out a lot this year because he was featuring opposite Kool-Aid McKinstry, who was regarded as the top corner going into the year. And he performed so well with all that action thrown his way that he is now overtaken Kool-Aid as a prospect.
And I think his physical attributes are a little more I believe that he's a little faster than him, and he can jump a little higher, I believe. So I think that's part of it as well. But I do think those two are very close, right? They're both Alabama corners.
True.
You don't really throw at either of them.
No, that usually
you're just trying to pick the lesser two evils.
Usually doesn't work out too well for anybody. Let's see here. All right, so we're moving on to number 18, the Cincinnati Bengals. With Brock Bowers off the board, I think this has to be a tackle. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Fashanu from Penn State. He did fall a pretty good space from where he was at the beginning of the year.
Without a doubt.
Considered as the top tier tackle. But he's still a good player. He's just a little more raw and, has a little more he needs to work on. But I think you got to protect Joe.
You have to.
It's anher year where he's hurt.
For sure.
The 2 years he's made it, they've made it to the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship. You got to make sure he's still there.
Without a doubt, dude. Without a doubt.
I also think wide receiver is an option. Obviously, we'll see
if
T. Higgins goes anywhere.
For sure. I think that's a great pick for them. Protecting Joe, dude. Can't do anything without the guy. Moving on to number 19, the Los Angeles Rams. Should they not trade this pick, it will be their first round pick in 7 years. Pretty wild stuff.
It's unbelievable.
Obviously, they went all in. They touched the top of the mountain. They've fallen back down a little bit, but here they are with another first-round pick. No more Aaron Donald.
Yeah, huge I think it has to be a defensive lineman specifically, and you can't replace Aaron Donald.
No,
and it's really important to know that. But he is like he leaves such a hole that you have to fill it.
Yes.
You have to start putting anybody there.
Yeah.
So I think they're gonna take Byron.
I agree.
From Texas.
I agree.
Byron Murphy.
I do think Byron Murphy's the better of the two top interior defensive line prospects out of Texas. We're going to throw him there. Like you said, nobody's going to live up to the generational talent that Aaron was. But just having somebody that can go in there and play that position at a high level, I think will be huge for them.
Yep. And
with their first round pick in 7 years, they attempt to replace one of the best to ever do it.
Yep.
So that's fun stuff. Number 20, the Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock.
I'm gonna leave this up to you.
Dude,
I wish I understood the Pittsburgh Steelers, but
this is almost a dream situation for me.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily. I mean, this could darn well happen on draft night. Maybe I'm a little high on one of these guys, but for me, it should be a tackle. It should be an offensive lineman. Like you have to build that offensive line. It's been so atrocious.
Yeah, I think so.
But I also they got rid of Deontay Johnson. Like,
I know.
I want this to be Brian Thomas so bad here.
Yeah. It would be very exciting for him to go. Obviously, losing Deontay is tough, but they do have Pickens.
Yes.
But Pickens, yet again, he's not proved himself as a number one wide receiver.
No.
Do I think he can get there?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I think it's interesting, but I do agree. Like tackle makes a lot more sense.
It does. So I think I'm gonna go J.C. Latham out of Alabama.
Yep.
Can't go wrong with a tackle out of Alabama, in my opinion. But
it's a pretty good bet. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, pretty safe. Moving on to number 21, the Miami Dolphins. Woo! Do they protect Tua? Do they go defensive line? I don't know. Who's to say? I'd probably lean offensive line. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think it has to be one of the big boys, either in the middle defensively, using Christian Wilkins, or somebody to protect Tua. But to be honest, they ran the ball really well last year.
Yes, they did.
They threw the ball really well last year.
Yes, they did.
They need someone who knows how to play in the cold. That would be their number one guy.
Ain't that a fact?
But I would definitely go defensive line here.
Sounds good.
Just because Chubb, I believe, got injured last year.
He did.
As well as Phillips.
Yes.
So there's...
I think Chubb might miss all of this year. One of them had like a torn ACL. I don't know. But they're definitely going to be down
Phillips was
men.
an Achilles.
Yeah. I mean, that's catastrophic.
So you need to make sure you beef up that defensive line. So I would say interior with Wilkins also leaving. Like that's 3 starters gone.
Yes.
And their offensive line held up pretty well last year, to be honest. So
rock and roll.
That's where I would go.
Jerzon Newton out of Illinois. It is the second highest ranked, in my opinion, defense interior prospect.
Here we go.
This is it.
Philadelphia Bird.
22.
Yeah, picking at 22 here.
The moment we've all been waiting for.
The Philadelphia Eagles can do a lot of things. But what will they do?
Who's to say?
We've proven that we're only going to take the big dogs or wide receivers in the first
Yes.
round. Like, that's it.
Every year when I'm doing this mock draft on the simulator, wide receiver is always a need.
Yeah. Wide receiver, although I do think it is a need to an extent beyond, Smith and Brown, like, they are enough to carry the team so far.
For sure.
We just need a guy who can do what Quez Watkins did 2 years ago. We need a guy who can give them a little more space to operate below. Who can really take the top off the defense. You don't need to take that guy in the first round.
No, sir.
So I would not say wide receiver here.
No,
it is the main need. I'm like,
I do agree. I don't
linebackers?
see that as the main need anyway. I think this is a really deep wide receiver class, so I do think maybe we end up going hopefully second round. I'd love to throw a second round.
There's a guy who broke the 40
yard dash. Xavier Worthy.
Why not?
That'd be lovely. So I'd probably go secondary here.
I don't know how you don't pick a cornerback here. We've shown that we don't do it in the first round, but I just don't think that. Well, this is where it is, right? Obviously, Hassan is gone, and obviously we did replace him with Huff, but like I could even see Chop Robinson going here.
Said that. Yeah, I'd narrow it down to one of the cornerbacks, whether that be Wiggins, Kool-Aid or Cooper DeJean and Chop. Yeah. Yeah. And God, we love to take defensive line, don't we?
We do. And it's just fun to take a guy like Philadelphia, more than a lot of other cities, is like, oh, you gave us a guy who will just kill their best player. Like, I really want that guy. I would take Kool-Aid McKinstry though. I think he's fantastic. I think it's because his numbers aren't great, but it's like, yeah, if they're scared to throw at you, that's a good thing, right? You know what I mean?
It's very true.
You're not going to get a lot of picks if they're too scared to throw the ball at you. I would take Kool-Aid here.
Yeah, it's very true. That's interesting. I think I like Nate Wiggins a little better. He's just a little faster, but
his size is bigger. He's a bigger guy.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm cool with Kool-Aid.
And he's on the all-name team.
S-tier name.
Come on.
Amazing
Kool-Aid McKinstry. Get him on the squad.
Yeah, I mean, we need it desperately. We really do. And will Howie go defensive back here?
I will say Chop Robinson, although it's not an S-tier name team, he would still get on the all-name team.
Yeah, he is for
Chop
sure
is an epic
mention.
First name.
He is for sure.
Especially in a position where you do chop.
I do believe it's a nickname.
Awesome.
I do believe it's a nickname. I mean, Kool-Aid's definitely a nickname too.
I don't know.
That'd be wild. It really would be. True, so true. I don't know. I'll never be satisfied with an Eagles pick until we see it. There's always a million different routes we can go, and it's hard to really narrow down what that need's going to be.
And I would say if one of these tackles were to fall, it's something that I could see us thinking about.
Yeah.
Lane still is playing at an elite level, but he won't forever.
No,
so we'll see.
And you'd have to think that'll end soon. I also like Jackson Powers Johnson, the center out of Oregon, because we just lost the Hall of Fame center, but we do have obviously somebody to slide right in there.
Yeah.
So will be mighty interesting to see come draft night. Go Birds. On to number 23. I remember it. It's the Cardinals.
Yeah, the Cardinals back on the clock.
So this is a spot where maybe they do what I just said I want the Eagles to do.
Absolutely. They'd be stoked
interior
here.
offensive line.
Oh.
What were you saying?
They're going to take Brian Robinson.
So true.
Yeah. That's the thing with the...
In my head, he's never here.
Yes.
That worked out really well for them.
I know. And I think that if this works out, you can see how they're stoked.
Yeah. I mean, you can... It makes sense why they would be able to let go of that number 4 pick and jump back here.
They're gonna take the card. No,
it's not. Dude, I don't know. I feel like when we were practicing mocks and we were just talking about it, Brian Thomas does not last this long. So that was completely out of my mind. If we didn't say anything, maybe he wouldn't have gotten picked at all. But without a doubt, goes here. I think he's definitely number 4. Not quite on the same level as those other 3 guys. But we're talking about a guy who caught a ton of touchdown passes last year. A ton. I made the comparison to you yesterday about the LSU receivers have passed, that being Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. Jamar Chase was the number 1 guy, but Justin Jefferson blew up for a ton of touchdowns. So this could be the second coming of that. It won't be.
He's a great wide receiver. But, I think his where he lands is very important for him.
Yes.
Because being the number 2 in an option or in an offense, it did kind of limit what he did. He caught a lot of touchdowns, but he didn't run a lot of different types of routes.
For sure. And he's going to have to learn.
Exactly. He's going to have to learn. But I think going to a team like the Cardinals where they have Trey McBride, who is at least another guy, like he's proven he can catch 10 balls a game.
That was wild.
So I think he could go into that team and actually be the number 1, and I think we could see him do really well. He has all of the intangibles, without a doubt, and the production, but there was just some of the things on the floor.
No, there's so much polish that he's going to need to learn.
Yes.
Like you were saying, many routes that he's going to need to learn, some footwork stuff like he's going to need to grow. So I think it's exciting to see him go there and
I think he's gonna. I think he might go a little higher.
I agree.
I think he might go a little higher.
I do agree. On to number 24, Dallas Cowboys hate making this pick. Let's give them the worst player of it.
Yeah.
Scroll all the way down. I love to see that they have a lot of needs on.
They do. They haven't the Cowboys lost a lot of people and they haven't replaced them.
Yeah.
And they've said they've been saving their money for guys who they have to sign down. Obviously, CD, Micah are going to get
the bag.
Yeah, they're gonna get so much money that the bag. It's gonna be the bags.
Yeah, I mean they're both gonna be the highest paid players of their position.
Absolutely. It'll be fun to see who gets the deal first, CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson, because the other one's gonna want more,
without a doubt.
And then Jamar Chase comes up.
Very
happy to get Smith's deal done.
Without a doubt. So. No, that was huge. So for me, I'm looking at tackles here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, their defense was fantastic last year. So I think that you can, in a lot of ways, think that they can leave it alone. But yet again, they give up a lot of points to...
Could always be a defensive back.
Exactly. But I would say probably going to go offensive line for tackle.
Yeah.
Just... Dallas does take a lot of tackles in the first round, a lot of big dogs on the front line.
A lot of times it works out.
Yeah.
Hate to see it.
That's what I'd say.
Yeah, so it comes down to two guys. Amarius Mims out of Georgia, Graham Barton out of Duke. I think I like Mims better, yes. Yeah. The only thing I would say about Barton is he can play tackle, guard, and center. He played all three in college, so there's a lot of flexibility there for a team that has needs of both tackle and center. But yeah, I think Mims is better, and I think that's where we'll send him.
Yep.
All right. Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, fun team here.
Yeah, I mean they gave me my favorite game of last season.
Yeah, we were in New York and I was so annoyed because there was only one game we were gonna watch before we had to drive home, and it was the Cowboys game, which I just don't want to watch them play.
No, especially like in a game they're supposed to win.
And then they got destroyed, and it was the greatest thing of all time.
Yeah, I mean I think I've said it before, but like
bliss.
Every Eagles game, win or lose. Is stressful.
Yes.
Even a great win, like it's hard to watch a lot of the way through. Watching the Cowboys get stomped was just perfect bliss the entire way through. It was so good. It was amazing. Vibes were immaculate.
It was. It was a fantastic time.
It was so much fun.
And it's great to see Jordan Love really go into his own.
Yes.
So I am curious here. This is a team that famously never gave Aaron Rodgers first round offensive picks, and I do think they're not going to take. I think they're going to take a cornerback.
Yes, I agree. I think they will definitely go defense. They're going to continue their trend of not drafting wide receivers or even anybody that can help
the offense. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense.
So for me, it comes down to two different people. Our two best defensive backs left on the board: Nate Wiggins, Cooper DeJean. For some reason, I feel like this is going to be where Cooper DeJean goes.
Yeah, I think Cooper DeJean is a good player. I'm not the highest on Wiggins, so we'll see. I would go him as well.
That's cool. Coop gives you a lot of versatility. Can play on the outside, can certainly play nickel, can play safety, and I think a lot of people think he will play safety. But just having such versatility back there will be really helpful.
It's always nice.
Moving on to number 26, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Baker Mayfield.
I'm not happy with what they've done to us. This is another team that I'm growing to hate, even though I'm a big Baker fan.
Yeah, but that was a terrible word.
We did it to ourselves, but still.
I'm not bringing it up.
It's fine. So, they're on the board here at number 26.
That's in the deepest, darkest
it's locked away.
recesses of my soul.
Gone. So for me, this comes down to two prospects. They got a lot of needs listed here, but offensive line and defensive backs. I think for me, Graham Barton here out of Duke. Thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a big fan of getting the specialist. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather have one guy who's really good at the position he plays
for sure.
than a guy who can play three kind of. Okay. So Jackson Powers Johnson.
Okay.
I would go.
Yeah. No, I'm totally cool with that. I think I like Jackson Powers Johnson better. It's just, of course, you very rarely will see a center go not so high. It's 26. I think it's perfectly reasonable. So I like that. I like that a lot. Moving on to the Arizona Cardinals again.
They're back, and now they take Graham Barton.
So true.
They're back.
It really worked out well for them. I love that. I love that for them.
I don't like that because they have Jonathan Gannon.
True, but whatever.
So, no, it did work out well, and I've said it once before, but if I was them at 4, I do take Marv. Like, you can see the draft falling this way, in which it's very beneficial for them, and they end up with, O-line help, a really good wide receiver, and they get, other draft value as well. But for me,
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
I
gotcha.
I just find it very difficult to
pass up that generation.
Yeah, have that guy there and not take him.
For sure. Yeah, so we'll go with Graham Barton here. Things did work out well for them. And should they do this on draft night, this trade? Who knows if it'll work out well for them? It could go disastrously.
I think that spot will be traded though.
Mm-hmm.
Whether where they go could be anywhere. And because I think they do want a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Similar to last year.
Yeah.
They could trade back in.
That definitely could happen.
Go get their guy.
That definitely could happen. Yeah, I mean, if it's with the Bears or something with the Falcons to come back in and get
the
Rome.
Spot. Yeah. See if they can get Rome right before the Bears come
in. Very interesting. All right, so we're coming down to the end here. We got the Bills at 28. I have to think this is going to be a receiver.
Yeah, I mean, their main receiver right now is Khalil Shakir. Obviously, they picked up Dalton Kincaid last year, which is great, but you need somebody on the outside.
Without a doubt. So there's a lot of names here. Like we've said, pretty deep class. Some of these guys are definitely going to end up falling to the second round because they have to. For me, I think Keon Coleman's probably the next name to get called.
I do think Adonai Mitchell's very good. I think he's a very good wide receiver. But Coleman, he's my favorite of the bunch. That's what I'll say. Yeah. That's left.
I've seen different mocks where these guys are going all over the board.
Yeah.
In different places. I do like Keon the best as well.
Yeah. We have a lot of guys who are kind of similarly rated as late first, early seconds.
Yes.
So these guys will probably all be gone by this time in the next round.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual rating of them has varied a lot. But Coleman is my favorite as well. But I will say I could see Mitchell going here.
For sure. And who's to say he doesn't go by the end of the round here?
Yeah.
Coleman's not quite the fastest, but he's a pretty big guy, like 6'3", 6'4". Great contested catch skills. Should be a nice safety target for Josh Allen, my dynasty quarterback.
Yeah, he needs some help.
Boy, does he. All right, so we got the Lions here at 29. Team that really, really did a great job last year, going all the way to the NFC Championship game. Thought they had it in the bag. Unfortunately, they did not.
And then they dropped it.
They sure did.
They fumbled
it. They really did, didn't they? So, I mean, looking at their needs here, guard, center, edge, cornerback, of what remains at those positions, I think there's two names. I mean, I've been bringing up Nate Wiggins a lot. I like him. I think he's definitely a first-round pick.
Yeah.
But I also think Chop Robinson's a first-round pick off the edge. So that's probably where I'll lean here.
I would say Chop for sure. Yeah. As I said, I'm high on Chop, not that high on Nate. So getting a guy to pair who I think he's going to be good, Chop. Mm-hmm. Especially if he goes into a team where he can be the number 2. Yeah. Edge rusher. I think without a doubt he's set up to succeed in that team.
Now that would be a really fun pairing with him and Aiden. So love to see it. On to number 30, the Baltimore Ravens. Once again, on there, down to two positions I think they can go, either receiver or cornerback.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah. And this one is kind of more of a toss-up to me.
Yeah.
Obviously, they went wide receiver in the first round last year.
Worked out pretty well, huh?
Pretty sweet, yeah. And will they do it again this year? I think so.
I think I'm going to lean that way as well.
I think I'd go Mitchell here.
Yeah, we talked about this in prepping. You want somebody who's a little bit different than Zay. Adonai Mitchell definitely is that taller guy. Play on the outside, make some contested catches, throw the ball up to him. I think that'd be a really fun fit for them, and getting Lamar some weapons. Not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing,
especially with Derrick Henry joining the fold.
Yeah, that's gonna be really interesting.
I'm so excited.
Really, really interesting. So next up is. Never mind.
I think, all right, so this could be the...
Do you think this is the spot?
Yeah, I think this is where the trade would go.
I really want to get Nate Wiggins into the first round.
That's what I'm saying. So, at this point...
Yeah, so...
Football talk. Getting a quarterback who's in the first... Or any player in the first round is nice, because you can sign them to a 5th year.
Yes, it makes all the difference in the world.
Because it gives you one extra year to kind of, take a look at them and see if, they're actually what you want. Michael Penix, I think, will be a first-rounder.
I do agree.
I think, in my head, he's a Raider.
Me
I don't
too.
know why.
No,
but it just fits.
I feel the same way. So yeah, it's at this point with these last two picks. I do agree. Getting that fifth year would be huge. Try to have the Raiders come back up here and pick Penix.
I could see it at 32 as well.
Yeah,
they could do it with the Raiders.
I could see it. Yeah, any of these last four, to be honest. The Niners, like, what do they have as a need here at 31? Pretty solid team.
It would be corner. It's
God,
Nate.
I hate them. It is Nate, and that's why I said that I want to get him. I do. I really do. But I mean, in looking at the Chiefs next, I think maybe they would be a little less likely to trade the pick because they want to try to get a receiver at the end.
I agree. And like where they would ultimately
so
pick from in the next round.
It looks like it would be second round pick for the Raiders is 44. So yeah, I mean, you look at some names: Troy Franklin, Ladd McConkey. Receivers probably would be gone, I guess, by 44. At least would be tight. So I'm down with trading this pick here. For the 49ers, they're going to trade 31 to the Raiders to come up and get Michael Penix. They'd get 44 from the Raiders, their second round pick, and then maybe a 2 next year or something like
similar
that.
to that.
But
I think if you're the Raiders,
a pretty wild move.
Yeah, I think if you're the Raiders, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This was a team last year that were not that bad throughout the year, and they had Aiden O'Connell as their starting quarterback, and I think Gardner is signed a 2-year deal, which is very bridge quarterback-like to me.
Yes, it is.
And it's a shame that he's kind of been thrust into that situation, but it's because he does well when he's called upon, and clearly people enjoy playing with them. You know what I mean? Like
for sure.
He did a good job with Richardson last year, and it's one of those things. If your quarterback gets hurt, which is always the worries with Penix here, your season isn't quite over yet.
Yeah, it is. I think that's a really interesting spot for them. I mean, I think you're in Las Vegas. You want to keep things exciting. There's a lot of things to do in Vegas. The Raiders might not be number one, so maybe we get a quarterback and build some hype.
Gardner's great, but you're not kidding yourself thinking that he's going to be the long-term guy there.
No.
He is elite, though.
He is.
I cannot express
Not as a quarterback. Not as a quarterback. He is. Penix is a really interesting prospect. Does a lot of things right. He's doesn't throw right, though. That is one thing.
Yeah. He throws lefty.
Lefty, I think, throws a lot of people off.
Have you seen the
hitch
reverse?
in his throw? Definitely looks better, yeah.
And when you reverse the footage and watch him throw with his right hand, he looks totally fine.
Yeah.
But because he's a lefty, people are like, I don't like.
No, I mean, there's a lot of talk about a hitch in his throw that would have to get worked out. Definitely some inconsistencies. I mean, it's a end of the first round kind of quarterback prospect here, but I think that's really fun.
And he had a great year at Washington.
Yes.
Nobody thought Washington was going to do what they did.
Not
they did it in large part due to Mike Penix.
Yes, for sure. So, fun stuff, and
I think if he would have played better in the national championship game, we'd be talking about him instead of
would.
JJ. I really do.
1,000%.
If JJ doesn't win that game, I don't think he's close to.
Well, then you don't say what you said when we were talking about him. He's a winner.
Yeah, exactly.
If he wasn't a winner,
I feel like that's his thing.
Yeah.
He's the winner.
It is his thing. Apparently, he's an alpha. So.
No, he's not. He just has more alpha brainwaves.
Gotcha.
It's a different thing.
Completely different. Okay, makes sense. All right, so let's
now
I
understand.
It all clicked. I got some of those alpha brainwaves, and it all made sense. So let's close it out here with the Chiefs at number 32. Obviously, the Super Bowl champions. They may be down a wide receiver going into this year after picking Rashee Rice last year. I don't know what's going to happen with him legal-wise. I think he's away from the team here, so I definitely think wide receiver, regardless of if he's there or not.
Yeah, I mean, they brought on Hollywood. Fun. That's going to be fun to have, but he's proven that he's not consistent.
Yes.
Right? He's a speed guy, which is great, but he's more so an upgrade on Marquez Valdes-Scantling than a new guy to have. So I think that they'll probably go here, wide receiver. Now, who that is, I don't know. I almost think Ladd McConkey.
That's who I was going to push for as well.
Ladd just operates very in a similar area to where Travis will operate. So I'm a little curious, but Travis also...
Travis is on his way out.
Yeah, for the first time we've seen a little bit of a downtick.
Yeah, I mean, that second half of the year for sure. He turned it right back on when he needed to. But yeah, I do think Ladd would be my pick here.
Yeah, unless there was another I could see offensive line going. But I just don't think there's anybody there right now who takes it.
Not in this spot. So let's do it. Loud McConkey. That'll close it. Analyzing our draft. They won't give us a grade, even though it's.
Well, the grade is an A. We all know we got an A grade for this.
Yes, I mean that's that. That's our mock for the year. I think a lot of fun stuff in there. Happy to add some trades.
Yeah,
spice it up a little bit.
We had 2. We shot out the first one, but we did have a second trade there.
Sneaky.
We didn't do it sneakily.
No, there was a lot of discourse surrounding it. In fact, the first one was sneaky though.
Yeah.
Snuck up on us. So, pretty interesting stuff. I mean, a lot of wide receivers, a lot of quarterbacks taken. The guys that are making the game exciting in a lot of ways.
And the guys who are getting paid.
For sure.
They're on the league.
So, no, I had a lot of fun putting this together. We're going to have a lot of fun watching this draft here on Thursday.
Yeah.
Go Birds, I have to say. Always got to fit that in there.
Howie could move us around, too. I would not be surprised.
He always could. You talked about it today. Could send this first round pick for maybe a veteran player, someone to go all in on. You never know. But yeah, really, really, really fun stuff, and I can't wait to see us be 100% correct on Thursday night.
This is actually we set up as a mock. It's the script.
Yes, we're leaking it right now. The script.
We're leaking the script. Sorry, Raj. We just couldn't. We couldn't keep it under wraps.
We wanted to, but we couldn't hold it.
We gotta let the people know.
Exactly.
Really,
Exactly. But no, so that's going to be your 2024 NFL mock draft preview. Going to be exciting stuff. See where all these guys land. Get ready for another great year. I think you'll hear from us hopefully coming up here in the summer, whether that be getting ready for basketball or soccer. But
it's going to be a fun summer.
It's been a lot of fun.
We should do an Olympics podcast.
I don't know about that. I know nothing about the Olympics.
We'll just take one sport at a time.
I sound stupid during the podcast we just recorded. I don't want to sound that stupid with the
We're going to become a fencing-only podcast where we just talk about...
You're lucky nobody's going to listen this far into it.
Let us know if you want a fencing podcast.
Yeah, I mean, reach out to us on social media.
We'll sneak it into the next one.
If the fencing... I mean, if one person even...
Yeah.
We'll throw it in there. Apparently, we're itching to talk about fencing.
Yeah.
On guard. That's great. But yeah, hopefully you'll hear from us rather soon. It's been a lot of fun. It always is. Thank you guys for listening, putting up with our annoying voices and stuff. For anybody that's made it this far, I sound awful. We went to a concert last night, and my voice is completely gone. But it was fun.
It's not your flu game because you already had a flu game.
No, the flu game was crazy.
Yeah.
Flu game was. I mean, it was my appendicitis game.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah. So this is kind of a whatever less is the flu.
Yeah.
Just a common cold game. It's your allergic. You got allergies.
Allergy game. Woo. But no, thank you guys as always. It's a lot of fun.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.
Love to see it, brother. Love to see it.